no'oahu mai au e noho ana ma ka moku o Hawaiʻi o Kaupakua ko'u ʻaina o Kapehu Kawai o Shelby Kāhele moana Nahale-A ko'u inoa. What I do is I invest my time and energy into sacred reciprocity, and I strive to embody aloha. I seek to align myself with indigenous ways of being and bring that into the spaces that I'm in. My education has been varied, everything from Hilo all the way through to institutions like MIT and Harvard. But I'll be honest with you, none of that compares to the ike that I learn every day and that I've learned from our ike kupuna. I currently hold spaces to kako'o wahine on their journeys of healing and understanding the feminine female cycle in relation to kamahina, and also in learning to tell time, and I put it in quotes because I'm not talking about civil time or your watch time. Telling time from a Hawaiʻi perspective with using kilo is very much about not using clock time and utilizing your environmental features to understand yourself in relation to space and time. I work as an independent consultant doing those kinds of projects, but I'm also a special projects liaison at the Kohala Center here on Hawaii Island. My favorite thing to do is chase celestial events across the Pai'aina and Honua, and I spend a lot of my time with my mo'opuna building pilina aina in all the forms that feed us. Okay. So to transition us into this space, and then I'm going to share screen. Okay. And I'm hoping you guys are seeing my Google Slides.
Yes, we can see it. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Is that you, Kalehua? Hi. I can't see everybody, but I was like, I know that voice.
Aloha,
Okay.
yes.
Aloha. Mahalo. Okay. So in this modern day and age, yeah, we have we often have we're going from one thing to the next, yeah, without a lot of in between time, without allowing ourselves space to transition from one activity to the next. And transitioning is so important. If we just look to our seasonal kupuna, our nature features, there's always a transition that happens. In March, we just had a transition from one side of Pikoawakia to the other side. Mahina transitions every, I want to say, between 12 to 24 hours-ish. Transitioning is a natural part of our existence, but unfortunately we don't do a lot of that these days. So we're going to transition into this space by grounding in our ha. And what I want you guys to consider is that our brains are very masculine energy. Very, the thinking space is very masculine, very cool, like, yeah. Whereas our na'au, all the way down through our kino, our na'au is a more feminine energy space. That's a more intuitive space, right? That connects us back towards our ancestors, and it connects us forward to descendants. And when we ground in our ha, what we're trying to do is we're trying to move that energy in between the two spaces, in between our ku and our hina. And so as we breathe together, that's what I want you to think about, is that you're moving your ha, your breath through your kino. On the inhale, it's like sinking it down. On the exhale, it's like bringing it up and out. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah, mekai. Okay. So what you should do is palike kua mahina ke alo. So sit so that you are, you feel strong in your position wherever you're at, however you're sitting. If you feel strong putting your feet on the ground, then do that. Or, you know, if maybe some of us feel, you know, more centered if we're cross-legged or something. So do whatever feels strong and centered for yourself. And I'm gonna guide us through 3 breaths together so that we're collectively entering into this space. And I'm just gonna play, oh, actually, wait, hold on. No, don't play it. I'm gonna play in the background for us just some Kanaloa sounds. And this happens to come from Niuli'i on the north side of Hawaii Island. I was there a couple of days ago, and Kanaloa was so strong, and I took some video, and so that's gonna be our background space for this. Okay. Are we makaukau? So, oh, if you want to close your eyes, close your eyes. If you want to turn off your video because you feel safer to do that, then go ahead and do that. If you feel comfortable doing so, place your hands over your na'au so that you're connecting more with that space. If this practice feels uncomfortable for you in any way, I just ask you to be kind to yourself and patient. Like I mentioned, you know, we don't get a lot of opportunity to do these kinds of things in our modern day society, and especially in groups like this, and in an online space, which is really awkward actually. Nonetheless, here we are. Okay. Makau. Leaning into your in-breath, leaning into your out-breath. Leaning into your in-breath, and sinking lower into your kino with your out-breath. And last one, leaning into your in-breath and letting out your out-breath. Letting go anything that's not serving you in this time and space. And we're just gonna let that settle in for ourselves a little bit. Welcoming our kino into this space. Getting out of our head space a little bit. Where am I? Okay. 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 Now, what I want us to do is, I would like to get to know you guys a little bit better. So what I would like us to do is do an Aloha Circle. And this is a protocol that we do regularly at the Kohala Center whenever we're doing activities. I'll model it first. Mahina Aloha. Kalamai, I just saw everybody on my screen all of a sudden. So Aloha Circle starts with the question of who is your aina. So sharing who is your aina. That can be the aina that nourishes you. That can be the aina that you were born on. Whatever resonates for you in this space. Then I'd like us to share who is your vai or your kai. So who is a freshwater source and or a saltwater source that nourishes you. I would also like us to bring into this space a kupuna or a kumu that you'd like to have on this learning journey with you. And then finally sharing who are you, what is your name? So I'll go first to example that. And if you feel comfortable sharing out loud, raise your hand and then I'll call on you to share out loud. If you're like me, who's an introvert and I actually don't like sharing out loud, you may share in the chat. So when after I do the first one, whenever you're ready to share your who's, then you can go ahead and share that in the chat. Okay, so my aina that I'm going to bring is actually the aina of this picture, which is Kahalu'u in Kona. This is where my ohana is from, and I'll bring my a kupuna in from that space as well. The the kai that I'll bring is Makole-A, which is a little bit south actually of this, still in Kahalu'u, but a little bit south from this particular body of water. This is Kahalu'u Bay itself. Makole-A is below, for those of you who are familiar, it's below the heiau. It's to the south of Ke'eku heiau. The kupuna that I will bring into this space with us today is my kupuna kualua, which is my grandmother that I'm named after. Her name is Kāhele Kana'aina, and she is from the Kahalu'u area. And then finally, I am Shelby Kāhele Moana Nahale-A. Okay. Go ahead and either you guys can share in chat, or if you want to share out loud with the group, feel free to raise your hand and we can call on you. Okay, mahalo nui. I like to do Aloha Circle because it allows me to connect with each of you and your aina. Even if I don't know your aina necessarily, I might have an idea of it so I can picture it for myself. Bringing forward names of similar with Vai and Kai, right? And then bringing forward names of kupuna, whether they be Kanaka or whether they be Aina. It reminds me in particular how, like, we're never alone. Yeah, no matter where we go, we always have somebody with us. You know, whether it's there with you in kino form, in the form of your keiki, or if they're there with you in spirit, or if they're there with you in memory. They're there with you. For me, a lot of my places are in my kino. You know, I have deep enough relationship with them that I feel them in my kino themselves. So bringing those forward is a way to remind us, yeah, we're never alone wherever we go. Also, it's a nice way, if we were in person together, it's a wonderful way for us to also introduce ourselves to the aina that we're on. So I like to believe that even in Zoom land, that we are introducing each other to each other's aina, you know, through this space, that somehow through the waves of internet, that mana and that mana'o is coming to all the places that we're tuning in from. Mahalo, mahalo mai ka'i. Okay. So to ground and center ourselves in place right now, this morning was Mahina Lono. I did not wake up early enough, and I'm a little bit upset with myself because it was super duper clear skies this morning on Hilo side, which we haven't had for a long time, but I woke up too late. Lono is only visible to us for a very, very short period of time when she rises, because she rises just shortly before Hikina Kala or sunrise. And so by the time I went outside to look, the sun was quite a ways above the horizon, and it was too bright, and she's too thin for me to see right now. But nonetheless, we honor that this is Mahina Lono today. We are in, for those of us on Hawaiʻi Island, and even Maui and Kauai, Oahu folks, it's a different malama for you, but the malama for us here on Hawaiʻi Island is currently Velo. Velo speaks to a group of stars that you may be more familiar with as the belt of Orion. So the 3 stars in the sky that you see and maybe attribute to the belt of Orion, those are Velo, and specifically the center star is Velo. So that constellation travels across our night sky during this malama, and that's why we call it Velo. We are, in terms of position of our of Kanehualani or Kala, the sun, we have passed Piko Wakia, so the celestial equator, and we have moved into Polohiva Kane, or we're moving towards Polohiva Kane. So the northernmost space that Kanehualani resides in. Why this is significant for us when we orient ourselves is because we now understand that our days are getting longer and our nights are getting shorter. And so in a lot of ways that dictates our biorhythms and our hana, right? When we are going from Piko Wakia to Polohiva Kanaloa into the quote unquote winter time, our nights are getting longer, our days are shorter, and so our biorhythms change during that time to adjust to darker skies. Now, of course, in Ike Kupuna, dark is not a bad thing. It's actually a really, really wonderful thing. It's a time when we can sink into and ground into our knowledge bases that come from the pole. It's a time for us to connect to kupuna that have been in existence long, long, long before us. This time period where we're going towards Polohiva Akane is a more light time. So it's a time of activation. The sun is activating a lot of things right now. Growth, right? We attribute this time to growth and productivity. And we're also right now moving literally from what we would call ho'owilo to kauvela. Now, generally speaking, we call ho'owilo winter and kauvela is summer, but if you've been kiloing your place for long enough, you may notice that your ho'owilo, like it is for Kona folks, is actually their dry season. And kauvela is when they have a more rainy season. So even though we call ho'owilo winter and kauvela summer, that doesn't necessarily attribute to what your anila is or what your weather might be. And that's why we kilo, right? We kilo so that we get to know and we get to understand our own personal environments and how they behave. So this particular malama velo ends ho'owilo and then transitions us into kauvela. So I didn't have a picture of Lono to share with you guys. Like I said, I didn't wake up early enough this morning. Otherwise, I would have paiki'd and been able to share it. But this is the closest I could get. This is one of the most special moons that I have experienced in a really long time. This is Mauli. So Mauli will rise tomorrow morning. Mauli is not often seen because your window of visibility is shortened to maybe like half an hour to 45 minutes. And so oftentimes she's just way too thin for us to see. We may, if you have clear skies where you're at tomorrow, I encourage you to go and look just before sunrise. She's her illumination is big enough right now where she may be visible tomorrow. So that's kind of a kupayanaha thing. This picture was taken in Makali'i. So this is in Gregorian calendar time, this is January 1st of 2022. This was 6 months ago was when I was able to see Mauli. In a whole makahiki, in a whole sun cycle, you may see Mauli 2-3 times at most. That's about it. That's how rare she is. So I share this picture with you folks because it was such a beautiful, like amazing moment for me to be able to see her. My pananao, or the vantage point that I'm looking at, is from Waikoloa. This is Vana'au, or before the sun is rising, and we're looking at the Mauna Kea. Actually, the Mauna that you see, the dark space in here, this is Mauna Kea. Again, this is Mahina Mauli, and it's in the Malama of Makali'i, and she technically was 1.8% illuminated at the time. So that gives you an idea of like just how, just li'i she is during this space. Okay. Now that we've oriented ourselves in space and time, we get a chance to understand like the larger environment around us. Let's look inside. I would like to know, how is your weather today? I'll share first. So I woke up this morning kind of cloudy, actually, in terms of feeling like I couldn't really see my grounding elements for myself. And a lot of that just has to do that I'm an anxious person. And so in anticipation of this workshop, I was super anxious at like 6 in the morning. So I was feeling a little bit cloudy. And so what I knew that I had to do for myself was ground. And that's when I went outside, actually. I remembered, oh yeah, I should have gone to look for the moon this morning. Hello. So I went outside, couldn't see the moon, but nonetheless, there was kanehoalani, there was kala. So I stood out there in the sun and I got warmed up from that feeling, and that helped to, my weather changed from feeling kind of cloudy to a little bit more clear and a little bit more warmer. So that's how my weather is today. Again, if I would love to hear what your weather is. Check in with yourself. What is your weather like today? And then either share in the chat, or if you want to voice it, please feel free to do that as well. Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about the practice of kilo is that as we get more ma'a to our environments and the kilo outside of us, you naturally like you cannot help but kilo everything pretty much, including ourselves, including other people. So for example, the Aloha Circle allows me a chance to kilo all of you, to get a sense of where everybody's, and even this weather activity, right? To get a sense of where everybody is literally from, their aina, what the connection is there, but also where you are, how you're doing yourself, how you're doing internally. And it's a way for me to be able to connect into all of those energies. And what I've learned to do with that, honestly, is to adjust on the fly. So for example, if somebody brought up something that I felt resonated, that I needed to connect with, then I would hone in on something like that. It's for those of us who do who have to do leadership types of things, and you're a leader no matter if you think you are or not, either in your ohana or in your hana that you get paid for, or in your hana that you don't get paid for in your community. You're a leader no matter where you're at. We're all leaders. And so the practice of kilo not only helps us orient to our outside environment, but it also helps us orient to our own personal internal environment, but also the internal environments of the kanaka that we come into contact with. So that's just a really quick example of what kilo out and kilo in is. Okay. Now, what I would like to know, this is another tool that we use in my work with the Kohala Center, is that we put ourselves on learning journeys, and our particular learning journey, the way that we organize what we do, goes along this pathway, which is engaging in something, learning something, working something, and sustaining something. So this is what the Kohala Center's Kilo learning journey progression looks like. And I would love to know where you guys might find yourself on this continuum, on this pathway. So if you, oh shucks, you know what? Because I'm sharing screen, I cannot see my control panel, but on your control panel is the annotate button. If you press that, then you'll see, you can, I like to use the stamp function. So the check mark is a stamp function. And I'm gonna choose a stamp, and I have been practicing kilo for 1+ years. So I consider myself in the sustain area, or kupa aina, that I'm on the well-traveled path. I'm on the akalehu. I've made a long-term investment in this practice of 1+ years to deepen connections to aina and kanaka. And I feel ready to cultivate leadership in this space. So I'm gonna place my little marker over there. So I want you guys to grab a little stamp, and then place yourself somewhere along this pathway. And if you feel like you're in between space, hikino, put yourself on the line, like that. Mahalo, mahelani, that's right. In between. My kai. Oh, shoots. I'm not trying to place this one. Oh no. Okay, Kalamai, whoever had the star in sustain, I just erased both of us. I'm so sorry. Can you please put yours back? Oh, mahalo ui. My kai. Okay, did everybody get a chance to place their stamp? Yeah, okay, my kai. What I'm gonna do actually is I am going to screenshot so that oh, Christy, did you place your, I just saw your name pop up on there. Did you get a chance to place your stamp? Yeah, okay, Mikai. Right on. Mikai, mahalo. Okay, so most of us are in this learning space where you feel like you're on the path and you've spent more time and space learning about kilo, including from Aina's kumu, and you've started practicing, but maybe not consistently. Hikino. Okay. And just so you guys know, like I cannot see once after you place your stuff, I cannot see names anymore. So nobody's getting called out or nothing like that. Oh, it's only when you place your marker I can see the names. Okay, Mikai. Mahalo. Um, okay. Everybody pow. Did everybody get a chance? Yeah, I'm thinking everybody. It looks like we have most folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah, looks like it. Mikai. Okay. Mahalo. This is also another kilo in for yourself. This is a chance for you to determine, like, oh yeah, where am I at on this journey? Where am I? Where do I want to be? It gives you also a way to kind of look forward and see, like, oh yeah, where can I go with this pathway with kilo? So mahalo for that as well. Yeah, the stamp feature is pretty cool. Yeah. And yes, mahalo Nui, my friend. Mahalo Don for um, putting instructions in the chat too, in case anybody misses. You can always look back in the chat and see. Okay, what did she say? Okay, okay. Okay. Oh gosh. Now all of our stars are on there. I mean, all of our stamps are on there. Hold on. Okay, now what I want you to consider is, oh yeah, let's see. What I want you to consider is, what is kilo to you? Um, there's no wrong answer to this question. Think for a second. What does kilo mean to you? If I can figure out how to, there we go, clear. Okay. What does kilo mean to you? Connection, mahalo don. Observe and connect and relate, relationship, mahalo. Understanding, okay. Presence, observe, adapt, activate. Oh, I like that. Mahalo. Acute and sustained observations of place, people, and sometimes systems. Oh, very nice, Kalehua. Inner work, self-care, self-love. I love that, Christy. Mahalo. Presence and mindfulness. Mahalo, Billy Joe. Quiet, focus, connection to place, self, and others. Mindfulness. Okay, mindfulness. Being present in a place to observe and reflect. Oh, restoration. Stopping to observe your surroundings. Makai. Yeah. Beautiful. I love all of your personal interpretations of what kilo is. Makai. Grace, love, and peace. Before I move forward, so this picture, when I talk about time in a non-civil way, so the picture that you're looking at on the screen right now is sunset from the east side of the island. I can tell when the sun is setting because this band above the cloud line which is the cloud line is Kahikiku, the space of the environment that we call Kahikiku. So just above Kahikiku, where the clouds are, at sunset on clearer days, this band of color appears across my eastern sky. So even though I cannot view sunset from the east side of the island because our mauna are too big and I can't see over that side, I know exactly when sunset is happening because I can see the change in color in the sky. And it only happens, it's only there for about 5 minutes. So like when we talk about kilo as being present and reflecting on observing our surroundings, like that's how you find out these things. That's how you see these things. Now in this modern day and age, I verified with scientific information also. So I saw this occurrence happening and I was like, wow, holy smokes, is it sunset right now? And I went and I looked on timeanddate.com because I use that for all kinds of kilo types of things. And sure enough, I was within 2 minutes of technical sunset on the west side of the island. And I did that a couple of times just to verify for myself, like, is this really the phenomena that's happening for me at sunset? Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. So now I know, like, I can see sunset from the east side of the island. Those of you who are on east facing areas, I challenge you to go look. Go look when the sky is clear, if you can see the band. For us right now, I think sunset is like, I don't know, 6:30ish or something like that, around there. But the trick is, of course, to feel into this time period rather than looking at your watch. Feeling into, what time is it right now? Okay, that was just a total aside thing, just because that's what I geek out on. Okay. So for me, kilo, as I have gone deeper and deeper into the practice for myself, what I've realized for me is that kilo is largely about these four things the bullet points that I put up on the screen. Kama'aina, because through observation we become familiar with our surroundings, with our environment, with ourselves, with others around us. But it also is a reminder for me that we are of this aina, that in this modern day and age, we have become separated from aina, and we view ourselves as separate. It's a what and not a who, like I asked in the beginning when you guys shared in Aloha Circle, yeah. The question of who is intentional, because aina is a who, it's not a what in our ike kupuna. There isn't a separation between us and them. Yeah, we've created the separation. So when I think of kilo, I think of kama'aina because again, it reminds me that we are of this aina. We are kama to this aina. I'm a being, they are beings. There is no hierarchical importance necessarily. The hierarchical importance may come from what is resonating higher at any given time, maybe. Like for example, sunrise and sunset, Kanehoalani resonates a lot for a lot of people. So I would consider Kanehoalani kind of hierarchical in a more quote unquote important space during those time periods. But that doesn't mean that hierarchy, traverses all time and space. Same with Kanaka, yeah. I've been in rooms with, presidents of higher learning institutions, extremely intelligent in a Western sense people. And because I understand essentially non-hierarchy in the environment, I don't feel intimidated by them, actually, because I know where I've oriented myself in time and space. I know what I know, and I know that my ike is sufficient enough for myself. They have ike that's important. I have ike that's important. Yeah. It's a really wonderful, freeing feeling, to be in a space with other folks who may typically have a certain positionality because of their political standing maybe, or because of their academic standing. But to know that no, we're all just beings, and we all have gifts to bring to the table, and we're all, we all show up with our gifts. Kilo for me is also about pilina, so building relationship, right? It's relationship. If our aina is who, to us, then it's about relationship, yeah. Same way that we show up to Kupuna's house. If you're going to Tutu's house, right? If I were to ask you guys, like, what do you do when you go to Tutu's house? I've asked this question enough, and people have answered it in the same way enough that I'm going to answer it for you guys. Like we all like, maybe we're going to show up with something, some kind of makana for them. When we show up, we listen, we change the way that we talk around our kupuna, right? We listen, we enjoy the mo'olelo that they share from their lived experience. We pay attention. We kokua if that's something that's required at the time, right? That's about relationships. Same thing when you're with aina. Same thing, exact same thing when you're with aina. Whether it's physical aina, like the land, or if it's kai, that's aina. To me, your celestial beings, your moon, your stars, your sun, those are all aina, things that nourish us. Yeah, same thing. The relationship is the same. Same thing, no separation. For me, kilo is also about mo'olelo. So it's looking for the story, looking and listening for the story. What is the story that my that aina is telling me in any given moment? If I'm kiloing out, I'm looking for the mo'olelo of aina. If I'm kiloing in, I'm looking for my own mo'olelo. Or if I'm doing kilo in with a group like you folks, I'm looking for the mo'olelo of the people in this space. What is the mo'olelo that they're expressing to me? Mo'olelo is so important for us culturally. It is an ieve of knowledge, or it's a oh gosh, somebody help me. What is ieve in English? I have times where I'm like, I don't know English right now. Ieve is the placenta. Placenta, yeah. Umbilical cord, yes. Placenta, umbilical cord, yeah. All the same stuff, right? Yeah, our mo'olelo is that for us. It holds all this nourishment. Holy smokes, it's dense with nourishment. It connects us back to our kupuna, way back, generations and generations and generations back. It also is a way for us to connect forward to our descendants, whether they come from your kino or not. Many of you brought up keiki as your kumu. You have mo'olelo as much as, yes, our keiki are kumu to us. You also have mo'olelo to share with them, for sure. Yeah. Oh, mahalo, Shelly. Mahalo nui for joining us for the time that you could. Okay. Okay. And finally, for me, kilo is ho'okele. So it's guidance. Like literally, our stars were guiding factors for our kupuna to get to this moku, right? The waves were guiding our kupuna to get here. But also in this day and age, in this modern day and age, our kilo can help guide our how we navigate and how we function through our day. Mahelani, like what you brought up about how you have a lot of stuff going on, but you're gonna take this time period for yourself, right? And that you felt grounded in the hanu. Yeah, that's a guiding factor for you for the rest of your day, right? You can call on that. Whenever, like, if stuff starts to PE a little bit for you, right? Like hanu again, return back to that breath and hanu again. And you know what that's going to do for you. You know that's going to center you. You know that's going to help guide where you're going in life. So for me, this is what kilo has become. Kama'aina, pilina, mo'olelo, and ho'okele. In addition to everything that you guys all brought up, which I think is really wonderful. Um, this what I'm showing you guys right now. This is part of my chasing celestial events around the Pai'aina. So Mahina Hoku rises at about the same time as the sun sets. And it's one of my favorite things to view actually, because it's the only time that you'll see this is Mahina Hoku. Akua rises earlier than sunset. Mahealani rises after sunset. Hoku rises at about the same time. So this is this pictures that I'm showing you here. One is looking west, Velona Kala, the sun is setting, and the other one is looking east, Haku o Mahina, which is the Mahina Hoku is rising. And this was taken, my pananar, my vantage point is Pu'ukalepea Moa, which is like across the street from Halepohaku on the Mauna. It's a pu'u that's across the street, and you gotta like go drive up, and it's got fantastic views if you guys ever want to go there. But it's one of the best places to view this phenomenon happening. This one in particular was from March 27th of last year at 6:28 in the evening. And we had gone up there because we had Ohana who was visiting from the continent. And so we were, huka'i around the Aina and stuff. And we happened to be near Pu'uhuluhulu around this time. And I was like, oh, boom, we're going up the Mauna right now. And it was like broop. I knew that this was coming. It wasn't a planned thing, but I knew this was coming. And I was like, okay, we're going to go do this, guys. And then we went, and then, ta-da, this is what we got to see. So when we become familiar, I share that with you mostly just to say that when we become familiar with our environments, my goodness, the magic that appears before you in your daily life. Magic is all around us, but we often, we don't take the time to notice it and connect with it. We don't take the time to seek it out either. Kilo, the practice of Kilo has allowed me to seek out magical moments like this. And the Kilo out itself is magical, like what you're looking at here, but the Kilo in is also magical. I don't even know that I could explain to you like the feeling that happens when you're in alignment and connection with celestial bodies like this. It just, I don't know any other way to describe it except to say it just feels right. Like of all the chaos and confusion, that we have existing around us and the collective trauma that we've gone through all together in the last couple of years of going through a pandemic and then now navigating through like we're kind of in a pandemic but not really, and through all of that chaos. And I'll tell you, I have pandemic fatigue. I don't know about you guys, but I have pandemic fatigue. But it's moments like these that just fill me up with mana in a way that I cannot explain. And it helps you push through. Helps you push through another day. You feel like, yeah, I got this. Like you said, Mahela, I got this. You get the feeling, right, of like, yeah, I got this. Oh gosh. One of the interesting things about leaning into this practice and allowing yourself space and time is that functioning within an allotted time period, like 10 to 11:30 is no bueno. Sometimes it's not the best. Because I'm like, I'm just I'm leisurely going on this huaka'i with you guys, and I'm looking at that time going, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be Paul by now. Okay. I'm actually going to okay. Yeah, this is what I really wanted to do with you guys. Okay. What I want us to do is to kilo for 10 minutes together. Or, we're going to collectively do it at the same time, but you guys go and you do it wherever you can. If you're in a building where you cannot get outside, like at least try to go like near a window so you can look outside. If you can get yourself easily to a space outside, I encourage you to do that. And what I want you to do is na na. So a lot of us know the word na na as simply to observe, right? Like, oh, try look. You know, when you say, oh, na na, try look. Nana also means to pay attention, and we often use that in ways of talking about malamalaing poki'i, like, you know, nana oi I ka mau poki'i, like watch over, pay attention to your poki'i. Yeah, look after them. An interesting definition of nana that I came across as I was learning and developing my kilo skills was quiet, restful. Nana also means quiet, restful, to be in that space, which I felt like, oh my gosh, this is like exactly what we do when we kilo. This is how we do it, right? We observe, not just with our eyeballs now. We gotta observe with your whole kino, which is partly why we hanu, because we drop ourselves lower into our kino so that we get out of this space, we get out of the ku space, and we get more into the hina space, and we observe with all of our kino, whether it's looking, listening, smelling, tasting. Sometimes some of us can taste the limu in the air when you go to kai, and you know, if it's kai maoki oki, oftentimes that's when I can taste limu in the air. Feeling it in your kino, observing with your kino too. Yeah. Paying attention to all of that, paying attention to your feeling. What are you feeling when you're kiloing? And then allowing yourself to be quiet and restful in those moments. Okay. So it is 11:03 right now. I want you to we're gonna go kilo in a minute. Feel what you're drawn to, what captures your attention. Observe with as many of your senses as you can, and then we're gonna come back and share what we've observed, if you feel comfortable doing so. Okay, so 10 minutes, 11:13. Let's ho'i mai at 11:13. Okay, go kilo, go. So yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I've been too busy. I usually try to do pull it outside in the middle of my day when Kaneholani is at its highest point, but I haven't for a long time. So that was really, really nice for me to just be outside for a little bit. I would love to hear from you guys as well. I'll share, hopefully you can see this through my camera. So when I do kilo like that, what I'm asking myself is who's existing in my environment at this moment. So I'm looking around to pay attention to who's existing in my environment. What is the mo'olelo that they're trying to convey to me? And what is the ha'awina that's being revealed? And this works with both place and people, by the way. You know, who are the people in my current environment here? What are the mo'olelo they're conveying with me? And what's the ha'awina? So here was mine. Oh, let me see if I can get it. Shoots. There we go. Can you see it? This is my mamaki. It's a mamaki seed. So I've been ignoring my poor mamaki. And it called to me during the kilo session and was like, "Hui, hello, reciprocal. I need some reciprocity right now." It's not producing as nice leaves as it used to for me because I haven't been giving it the kind of care it deserves. So it called out to me to say, "Hui, you know, remember me over here." And that's my ha'awina, right? My ha'awina is like, okay. I need to make sure that I put more mana into my care of my mamaki so that it can flourish. These by the way are edible. You can, if you have mamaki, you can totally eat the seed. It has kind of I wouldn't say it has like a berry type of taste. It's more woody like, but it's medicinal. So that's my kai. Okay, oops, come on. Anybody want to share their kilo experience? Could be like what I shared, where I'm sharing about a specific thing, or it could even just be like your general feeling of like, holy smokes, it's so great to be able to just go outside for a second. One of the last things I wanted to share with you before opening up for if anybody has questions is this is my most amazing kilo moment ever in my whole life. And hopefully, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but hopefully you'll be able to. So interestingly enough, you cannot see Mahina Hilo from the Hilo side of the island because of the Mauna. She's too low in the sky, and the Mauna are too gloriously high to really be able to see her. And there's usually, you know, the clouds, right? There's usually clouds covering the horizon side from Hilo. So you really cannot see Hilo. Huaka is usually the first moon that we'll see on this side. Nonetheless, back in, when was this? Oh shoot, now I can't remember when it was. I want to say this was probably like last, it was the end of last summer, so maybe August, around August time or so. We had a clear day in the evening, and I was doing something else with my mo'opuna, and I thought it just like hit me. I was like, oh, go outside and look. And so this is my Aina and Pepe'ekeo, and like, you know, when you go first look, like you cannot see nothing, and then I looked closer. Can you guys see her right here? Oh, that's my mo'o crying because I never pull her up so she could see too. Sorry. I'll go play it one more time. You cannot see at first, but then you look real good, and boom, there she is. Almost out of my view sight because there's the trees coming up over there. Yeah, I almost fell down on my knees and cried from seeing her because it was such an amazing, magical moment for me. Oops, sorry, I wasn't trying to. Here, this is a picture of what she looks like. See how thin and skinny. She's like, you know, similar to Maoli. She would probably be 2% or less illuminated at this point. But this kind of kilo out, right? Observation of my environment and being present for moments like this, and learning my environment in such a way, building relationship with my environment in such a way that I know to look for these magical moments when they occur. The grounding that occurs from that kind of connection, I would attribute it similarly to like when you have a kupuna who visits you in a dream. I don't know if any of you have had that kind of experience when kupuna show up to visit you in dreams, and you have, it's like that bittersweet moment, right, where you have all this love and aloha filling your kino, and there's a little bit of sadness because you miss them so much, but then you're also grateful because they appeared for you. That's what it's like. That's what it, for me, that's the kilo in that happens. That's what the magic moments are like. Have any of you guys, I would love to hear if any of you guys have had magic moments like that. Mahelani, I feel like you just had a magic moment actually. Like I said. Yeah. If you can't think of any readily off the top of your head, I again encourage you to continue to build relationship with your environments, continue to look for those magical moments, continue to look for the mo'olelo that's being conveyed to you. As a concrete example, Mahelani, I would say the mo'olelo that's revealing itself to you is to come to Waipio, right? She's calling you. Yeah, that's a mo'olelo in itself. Yeah, I would encourage you to make those connections for yourself, and then do the kilo in to see what's the ha'awina that's revealed for you.